Thank you very much for tuning into this nutty thing. Okay, I'm going to tell you about a very, very nutty thing here. So, I'm speaking to my student. Okay, I'm a teacher. I teach business English here for the international market, and these are industry professionals. Okay, so they are not some university students. They are post they're postgraduate. They've already graduated from university and all this stuff. So they're looking for industry specific teaching and all this stuff. So what we were talking about here, it was a technology lesson about IT and all this stuff. It turned into AI and all this stuff. And then what we were talking about was basically the idea that, this. Okay, follow me here. Okay, so basically what happens is that they are discouraging natural childbirth. Okay, they're discouraging natural childbirth, and what are they doing here? They are okay. I just a bird's eye view. Then we'll get into the details. They're discouraging natural childbirth for a woman in their they're paying for the IVF later in life, right? So, if you can imagine such a nutty thing, right? So these companies are actually discouraging the woman to, and lots of pressure on the woman, right? So you have to work, you have to be a career-driven woman and all this stuff, and don't worry, we'll pay for your IVF later on. The company will actually pay for the woman's IVF later on in life, but you can only have like one or two babies, and it's not even the okay. So let's go to embryology for a minute, because that's what I was just talking about, really hard into some embryology here. So the zygotic genome activation here is a very, very beautiful thing, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about when the oocyte is actually picking the best possible sperm to make the best possible baby. Okay, so you can think of it like a lady, a very, very beautiful lady sitting at a bar. Okay, she's sitting at a bar with her martini or something like that. Okay, so it's an oocyte. Okay, the lady is the oocyte, and all the crowd, a crowd of guys are just crowding her. Oh, pick me, pick me! I promise I'll give you the best possible. I'll be the best possible husband for you. That So there's like you can imagine like 10 potential husbands are crowding this young, beautiful, beautiful young lady here, which is the oocyte, and the man, the sperm, okay? Which is, I mean, it's a pretty good visualization or whatever of what's going on in embryology. So if you're not, I mean, if you don't know embryology, basically what happens is that the oocyte will basically choose there's a natural selection process, which is what doesn't happen in IVF. So the IVF, they just ram any kind of sperm in there. Any old sperm, they just ram them in there. So that's basically what, there's this natural selection process that, doesn't necessarily mean that an IVF baby is not a good baby or anything, but there is that natural, process that is just not there. Okay, so whatever. So the natural process is not there. So what? What does this mean? That means that the natural childbirth is optimal, right? Because why? Because your mother's oocyte, right, chose your father's sperm, right? Whichever sperm was the best, possible sperm. That you can just think of it like the beautiful lady at a bar drinking a martini, right? And the lady's gonna say, "I pick you, I pick you, or I pick you." Okay, May, I can't believe it. Wow, it's May. It's actually May. So that's what actually happened for your life, right? Unless you're an IVF baby, and I'm not saying anything bad about IVF babies. They're beautiful human beings, and they did go through the ZGA, the zygotic genome activation. It is there. It's a wonderful fearfully made human. Okay, so the whole thing about that is that by force or not, that sperm was chosen, and that is something that we have to grasp. That there was every baby is a very, very special gift from God, no matter if it's an IVF or not. I mean, I'm not saying about that, but there's some wasted embryos and all that stuff. So that's a thing too. There's IVF does have some dark sides and all this stuff. I'm not really getting into that because there's a dark side to the IVF industry. There certainly is, and it's a whole bunch of money. So the money thing, and this is what I was going to talk about. So how much money are the companies spending to discourage natural childbirth and get into IVF, right? So that's just, to me, it's just absolutely nutty. Am I the only one that sees the absurd, illogical? How should I put this into words? I mean, it's just not right. What? You're going to discourage a woman of natural childbearing age. Right? So I think that my student was around 30 years old or something like that, which is nearing the end there. But still, it's 30-year-old woman. It's going to be okay for a little bit, right? You are able to bear children naturally. So if you're not aware of the ages from 15 to 35, that's the childbearing window of a woman, right? That's the childbearing window of a woman. So that's the thing, right? So many marriages in the Western culture, which is wacky culture, will happen right after 28 years old. So you basically spend the first 10 years, of your childbearing years, becoming whatever the woman did at the time. But a lot of these women, a lot of these young girls are just kind of taking the birth control pills Dr. Michel was prescribing and sleeping around, like literally sleeping around and all that stuff. So I mean, that's terrible. That's really, really bad, right? So I did you notice I'm never saying anything bad about condoms? Never. I never said anything bad because they do not cause the death of the baby, right? So why am I talking about this? Because there's a life, okay? There's a life and there's a death that occurs. So this is the reason that I'm talking about it, right? So of course, this is bad, right? This is a cause for concern, right? And I'm like the black sheep of my family or something like that. So I'd like to know why my whole family is like, oh, that John Michael's so terrible. He's a terrible guy, but I can't really put it into words, but he's so terrible and I don't like him at all. And I'm literally forbidden to talk to my own cousin, right? It was Dr. Michel, that which I was going to talk to, and I was going to say, hey, what's the whole point about the story? About you got a story, tell me the whole story. So the whole point of that is just nutty nonsense, is social media trash talking and all this stuff. But the whole point of this whole video, let's go back to the core of this video that I was making here. This is really nutty. Okay, so a company is going to hire this young lady of childbearing age. You're hired, and they're going to put the pressure on her to not have a child, right? I didn't ask if she had. I was almost about to talk about that, but I chose not to talk about that. The whole birth control pills and all this stuff. I'm not going to go there because I mean that's if you're dumb enough to do that, well, that's your own righteous judgment. It's sad though. I mean, these babies are actually dying, which is a cause for concern. But anyway, I didn't talk about that. The only thing I talked about was the natural selection process of the oocyte will literally pick the best possible mate, right? The best possible husband. It's not a husband. It's not a husband and wife. It's just one baby, right? The best possible sperm for that oocyte will be chosen. There's a whole bunch of contenders, right? A whole bunch of you can again. Picture it like a beautiful, beautiful young lady with a martini, and she's just sitting at the bar, crossing her legs like that, and she's just, minding her own business, literally her business. Fresh graduate, she's freshly, maybe it's her 19th birthday or something. She's brand new into the world, into the dating scene. And then you got this, so you can liken that as the oocyte getting removed or released from the ovary. So they will exit the ovary. The oocyte will be exiting the ovary, and then a whole bunch of sperm come in and try to crowd. As a whole bunch of guys come in and try to crowd the young lady. A whole bunch of potential husbands, they will try, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, here's a flower, can I buy you a drink, do you want to dance, and all that stuff. That's basically the whole idea of the sperm getting with the oocyte, right? That's what happens, right? This is what happens. This is what the pill cannot prevent, right? This is what the pill cannot prevent. They can never prevent life, right? It can, like, for a little bit, but after a while, it cannot, right? And that's the problem, and so the pill does not actually prevent life, but we're not talking about today. We are a little bit, but just the story of today is the nutty nonsense of how these companies will not allow, basically, just let's be honest. I mean, these women are being controlled and coerced into not having their natural child and getting the IVF, which is insane. This is insanity. How nutty is this? How nutty is this? Like, just imagine for a minute, okay? You're going to basically expire the childbearing window, and then you're going to give the woman the only reason that you're giving the woman an IVF is it's not about fertility issues at all. Okay, there's nothing about fertility issue here. It's really not. Yeah, just think about this for a while. Okay, there's nothing wrong with the woman. It's a perfectly natural, healthy woman. The only thing that you're doing, you're exploiting her, and for monetary gain, right? This is really nutty. How nutty is this? Just bear with me, okay? So you're exploiting her and you're making her expire her childbearing years. I mean, I'm a little bit laughing, but it's a very sad story. I mean, this happens again and again and again. I mean, this is my student. I love my students, man. I love my students very much, right? So then, okay, then the company pays for the IVF. What? Are you kidding me? Because we were talking about the pros and cons, and then the class was almost running out. I said, "Oh yeah, I forgot. The one con of IVF is it's expensive, right? So you're working and all this stuff, but then don't you have to pay for the IVF?" And she said, "Don't worry about that. The company's going to pay." And I was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. What? The company's going to pay for the IVF after basically forcing you to expire your childbearing years? Why? Why not just do it naturally? What? Are you... Anybody else seeing this? Anybody else has seen how nutty this is? This is the nuttiest thing that I've ever heard about in my whole... No, it's not. I know, I've heard about some really nutty things. Isn't this nutty? I don't know. That's my hammer collection. Here's my hammer collection. Homemade mallet. I feel like whacking these guys on the head. This is nutty. This is a nutty thing, right? Yeah, I got some homemade hammers here. I got a welding my own hammer here for blacksmithing and all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, this is just nonsense here. This is absolutely nutty. I mean, this is a nutty thing, right? How does this make any kind of sense? I'm showing off my hammer collection for no reason on this video, because I got to distract myself. I got to distract myself. I mean, this is just too crazy. You know, I think I've made it perfectly. I think I've laid out the points of how crazy this is, and I'm just going to spend the rest of the video just, just screwing around, because I mean, I already made the point, and I got another couple minutes here to just talk about nothing, because my videos are usually about 15 minutes. Let me go through this again. Okay, so you have the perfectly healthy woman. Okay, perfectly healthy woman. There's nothing wrong with her. I mean, she, she's married, and the husband is working and all that stuff. They're working in some major city, and they want to have a baby. It's a natural, normal thing. Okay, she's within the childbearing window. That's a healthy, natural, normal thing. Okay, the woman is healthy. Okay, so. And the work, they're going to put the pressure onto her, and they can, right? They really, really can. The industry is able to do that kind of stuff to control and exploit the woman to expire her childbearing window, and to say, listen, we need you for this work. And I remember she said, I don't have the time to give birth. I don't have the time to give birth. You don't have the time. Okay, so somebody's just not understanding how valuable childbirth is. There's nothing more important. I told her from the bottom of the deepest the bottom of the deepest trench in the bottom of the sea, the deepest part of the ocean, to the top of the mountains, to the top of the clouds. There's nothing more important than the baby there, that natural selection process. So. Let's go back to the IVF. Okay, there's some cause for concern and all this stuff, but one of the causes for concern that was completely unknown to her was the fact that you're just ramming any old kind of sperm into the oocyte, right? There's no natural selection process at all, and basically people are just not aware of that. They just say, "Oh, we're gonna get a baby." Okay, well, what kind of baby is it, right? So they don't actually go through that, and they're too busy with work to think about that kind of stuff. So. Bam! To that idea, that is nutty. That is a nutty thing. That is a homemade hammer here. I just and a hammerhead. I just welded some rebar into it, because why am I going to waste a beautiful hammerhead when I could just make a hammer out of it? The hammer includes the hammers. Welded this myself here, as you can see. I just welded this. Yeah, I'm not calling myself a welder by any chance, but it does function as a hammer. To smash this nutty idea, right? Smash this nutty idea. This is a nutty idea. To prevent a woman, to basically to stop her from her natural childbearing, to make her childbearing window expire, and then pay for the IVF? Are you insane? Are you insane? What kind of nonsense is that? Is everybody on the crazy nonsense train that it goes to crazy train with a one-way ticket to hell? What is this foolishness? What kind of yeah. I gotta stop this. I mean, I think I made my case pretty clear. I'll try to make another video a little bit later about this, because I can't seem to put my words how nutty this is. I'll see you in a bit.